Everybody, Jason Burmis here, and yep, there might not be any MMA, but there certainly is some mixed martial mindset. And John Fitch joins me every week. He was like, April 30th, eh, Burmis? Well, we've got some bad news for John Fitch. JohnFitch.net is where you find the man. Let's go to the website right here. That's where you find everything Fitch, including his YouTube channel, which is right up there. John Fitch knows nothing.
You want to make sure to sign up for the newsletter because I have my weight cutting book is coming out. I should start doing pre-sales, I think, this week. If everything is handled with the cover and whatever by tomorrow, we should be ready to go with that. So the Weight Cut Bible will be available on Amazon. It's a cheap book, quick read, valuable tool for weight class sport athletes. And if you're just looking to shed some pounds, I think you could probably get something out of it too.
Especially with the very popular quarantine diet that's going around.
Yes. So yeah, it's a good thing is, you may need to meal prep and meal plan better because you can't waste food. You want to have exactly the right amount of protein, exactly the right amount of carbs. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to waste your supplies, and you don't want to, waste nutrients. Very valuable.
They may be very valuable in the coming days.
In the apocalypse.
And weeks, that's correct. And folks, thegruelingtruth.com is where you can find this audio version of not only this podcast the following day, but also John Fitch Knows Nothing is on there as well. And we're both on a little thing called Rockfin. I'm going to start doing exclusives at noon every Tuesday. So starting tomorrow, exclusive live video at noon, and hopefully we're going to pack that up on Tuesdays to kind of get people to go over there. So Fitch, you said April 30th, right? That's what the Presidente said. That's what China said.
China.
Well,
they said at first the 12th, and then they pushed back to the 30th, in which this may be what they were trying to do the whole time is they keep giving dates that are close to give people kind of some hope, so they chill out, and then they gradually push it back a little bit further, and then push it back a little bit further, and then we're already talking about the end of April, and people are okay with that. Pretty soon it's going to be mid-May.
Yep. Well, you would think that mid-May. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned mid-May. So yesterday, I did a video, and I want to pull up this screenshot before I do. I don't even know if I have it. Yes, there it is, right there. Boom. Perfect. So I had mentioned in one of my videos that, hey, what's going to happen to Bilderberg? That's a global consortium of the predator class, people that are in the know. That happens anywhere from mid-May all the way to the beginning of July. That's
every year?
Every year. So it's usually either mid-May or it's in June. Very rarely is it in July, because in July, sometimes in the second or third week, depending, is when they hold 2 weeks of Bohemian Grove. So they like to get Bilderberg in first because that's 125 people, and there is some overlap, okay? So I had put that out in a video, and then lo and behold, the people at the Burmis Brigade gave me this screenshot of their website. The Bilderberg meeting 2020 is postponed. Well, if the global elite can't get together in May, and they can't get together in June, and they possibly can't get together in July, what does that tell you? Global lockdown is going to continue.
Did you hear about the Olympics?
Yeah, didn't they postpone those as well?
Yeah, Summer Olympics are being postponed until next summer.
Yeah, 2021. So when I saw that, I went to their site, and I did a video on it yesterday. Not even 24 hours ago. Last night, John. Turns out that Bilderberg decided to take their website right down. They did not enjoy the fact, let's refresh it for everybody. They did not enjoy the fact that I shined a little light on the fact that the global elite were telling us there would still be a global lockdown of some sort going on into the summer, since Fancy Pants Trump is telling us now April 30th. But again, like you said, they're just stretching it along. So instead of taking that part of the website down or revising it or ensuring that everything was going to be okay, they just took the site down. I don't believe in those kind of coincidences, John. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little kooky. Maybe I'm a little nutty.
Whoops.
But yeah.
Whoops. Did we actually? Oh, we didn't mean to put that up. That was a joke.
That was
Whoops.
a joke. I mean,
We didn't mean for that to happen.
well, I mean, Johnson and Johnson, they were in the news today, big today, right? Because they're gonna get the vaccine, and everybody's gonna be okay. Thanks, Johnson and Johnson. We can do it in 6 months, or we can do it in 9 months, or whatever. They're one of the people sitting at that Event 201 table, and now I've actually watched, John, 4 of the 5 videos. You want to know how many people die in that? It's not great, let me tell you. The number's pretty crappy, folks. It's not a good number. It's 65 million people, not 65.
Globally?
Yes, globally.
Or globally.
Yeah, China has the most people die, but they don't tell the truth about it. It's weird. It's
Maybe it could be, their numbers could be way worse, so we have no idea.
They have to be way worse. You're telling me.
How's Italy working? Are more people dying?
Yeah, it's terrible. Listen, today, John, and I don't think that New York upped their numbers, but this morning, the United States death toll, according to this, and people are all over me. There are people who still believe this thing isn't real and that the hospitals they've made aren't going to fill up. And, people are showing videos of empty hospital hallways. And I'm like, have you ever been in a hospital?
Yeah, I heard that too. Somebody was telling me that they've got videos of empty hospitals. There was a TikTok video of nurses dancing, like goofing around. It was like, when did they have time to like shoot a TikTok video and do like choreography moves if like they're swamped?
Well, the other big one is that people are showing me videos that are supposedly from Italy, and then they're captioning it from America, and that could just be lazy mainstream media. But let's say, I don't know, our numbers are somewhat off. Tomorrow we're going to surpass China in deaths. We are. I mean, we are at 2,500 plus deaths, I believe, in the United States. China only reported like 3,200 deaths, I think somewhere under there. Italy's got more reported deaths. Spain's got more reported deaths. I'm seeing it in New York, and I'm in upstate New York. The nurses are not getting home now. They're an hour, 2 hours after their shifts. The Hampton Inn next to me is now going to have more medical personnel coming in. Cuomo's talking about moving people around the state. As I told people, everybody was like, Easter. Last week it was Easter, right? Churches are going to be filled by Easter, John. The baby Jesus is going to save us. And this week, no. You know what did come out this week, though, John, that I think is warm and fuzzy? We got drone footage from New York City to fight COVID-19. That's what that's awesome. Here's Commissioner Shea showing everybody
the New York City drones.
How awesome the New York City drones work. And those are some pretty sophisticated zoom cameras, if I don't say so myself.
How many cameras are they going to have up?
I don't know, but what are the chances that they take them down after they're done? Does this end
once these go up, these aren't coming down.
No, that's what I'm saying. Look at this thing. This is something out of like The Running Man, bro. This should terrify people. And yet, I mean, literally, it's got an overlay, an augmented reality overlay over the live footage they're capturing. And why isn't this headlines anywhere? Let me read the caption from the commissioner. We visited hundreds.
Underreported hundreds of drones with that kind of camera capabilities. Holy fuck.
I mean, New Yorkers were working together.
I thought they would put up a blimp, just like 2 or 3 blimps that have really crazy cameras. They can see everything all at once.
Well, I'm sure they have that kind of footage,
and then they could sell advertising on the blimp and give orders. Go indoors on the blimps. Go indoors. Oh man.
Well, did you see how much money that Bezos made and saved by dumping all that stock pre-coronavirus dump? He did a pretty, I actually reported on that move, but it was so pre-coronavirus, I didn't think to myself pre-coronavirus, and now everybody's like, oh, and there's the one guy that, invested $27 million in shorting the market and made $2.7 billion. And then, of course, I mean, we have this bill, John. They passed it. They say 2.2 trillion. It's 6.2 trillion. And how much of that is going to the people? Not much. Less than 10% of you are, 10% makes up your 12.
They're just printing more money, and oil is a lot cheaper right now.
Yeah. And it's going to continue.
I
see
the
that
dollar's
happening.
not as strong. They're
Why?
saying something. I was listening to whatever, Boom or Bust, something like that, and on YouTube, and they're saying there's a lot of cash millionaires that lost half their money.
What's it really going to be worth in a month? Like,
yeah.
Look at it this way. People still don't get it. We haven't felt the economics impacts of everything that's shut down on the East and West Coast. A lot of middle America is still functioning. All right. That's not going to be happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Just like right here in New York, I could still walk around and get a coffee. There's a good chance I won't be able to do that in a week and a half without a mask. You know what I mean? Like everything changes every single day. The goalpost keeps moving.
Any companies that are switching over to making masks, maybe we should buy stock.
Well, here's the deal. Are you even going to be able to buy stock in those companies? Because we don't know which ones are going to do it. So you have Ford that's building ventilators, right? Now, who is it that's building the masks? There's a couple different places that have now pivoted to making masks. I happen to have in the county next to me, Delaware County, a thing called Amphenol. Now, they're a military-industrial complex company, and usually they're doing aviation stuff. They have 1,000 workers, John. Well, guess what? All 4 people that have tested positive apparently come from there. All those people are not wearing PEP. They have not been tested in mass, but they can't stop that factory. It's an essential service. I also happen to have Custom Electronics in the area and Astrocom. I expect all of those to be turned into making hospital gear, especially because I have such a large hospital system here. One of the other things that I talked about this going well into the summer is the fact that Cooperstown Dreams Park, which is the largest Little League park in the world, all right, we're talking about 26 parks, hundreds of thousands of people visiting during the summer. They've canceled their season. That goes all the way to September 1st. I don't think they're canceling their season because they think they have a chance to have that happen. Well, I got news for people. Most of those people come in from the Midwest at the end of May because their school's over, right? It's tiered. Our school ends at in the end of June, but in Midwest, it's usually the end of May. A lot of it has to do with the farming cycle. Yeah. There are companies that are prepared, that know what they're doing. I think it's going to end up like this, John. When we have truly 60 to 70% real unemployment, right? Because before this, we probably had, 20, 30% real unemployment? The numbers said differently, but those are people that just weren't collecting. By the way, Flick Off, thank you very much for that sticker. There's no way we don't get another 20 to 30% of unemployment because most people aren't essential services. And at some point, maybe the liquor stores stay open to keep the rioting down, but the Big Macs can't stay open forever. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to allow that. Do you? Do you think Domino's just stays open through the whole thing? Maybe.
I don't know, because there's an opportunity for some of these companies that can deliver and make food, make a lot of money because people, that's a service people need. But who's paying for it? Who's got enough cash laying around to be able to live off their cash? For months at a time. We kind of live in a month to month, paycheck to paycheck. That's kind of like what the market is. That's what everybody kind of is. Like most people don't have a savings.
And those are the people that have jobs that work, that aren't just on welfare anyway, or totally on the system.
Those are the people who have a career, but they're still paying off the debt, student loans.
Exactly.
Payments, car payments.
So I'll say this. There have been some good changes. For instance, New Jersey, people got fed up with the fact that they could get a Domino's pizza, but they couldn't get a gun. So starting tomorrow, there was enough pushback where guns become an essential service again in New Jersey, and you can go and get a gun. Good. Keep pushing back. I don't like Cuomo. I'll tell you what. I'm glad he threatened to sue Rhode Island when they did door-to-door checks with the fucking National Guard for New Yorkers, because they did that. They did that 2 days ago. He came out and said, you keep doing it, we're going to sue. Good. I don't know if that's the pro wrestling angle. Maybe even Gangster Cuomo, as shitty of an establishment politician hack as he is, doesn't want a full military takeover of his state. That would be tremendous.
I think that's a big part of it. He would lose control of his state if that happened to him. Like he might because these guys have their own egos and shit. I think he would rather be in control of New York than give it over to the president.
I agree. But the question is, with de Blasio and the fact that they did position the military where they did, and now they are deployed in the city.
De Blasio, what a jackass. Dude is telling people to go out, to go in the park, be normal, do normal stuff.
Yeah, but they told him to say that. Cuomo was saying the same thing, and they all were on that script because they were trying to milk the economy for those last little tidbits of Titles.
So crazy.
I mean, if you're watching,
this is how the narrative switches, and like it was Trump who was like, "Oh yeah, we need to ban flights from China," and they were calling him a racist.
Well, now he's a racist for calling it the Chinese virus.
Oh my God! But come on. So if they would listen to him, they would have called him a racist. But it probably would have helped.
So we've done almost 20 minutes. We have talked nothing about the fact that now there's no Khabib.
Yep.
There's no Khabib.
It's almost too sad to talk about.
We were talking about how
it kind of sounds like they did him dirty though.
Let's explain that to people because they're saying that somehow he can't get out of Russia.
Yeah.
I would think that Lord Putin would do everything he could to make this fight, and if they wanted to pull the Donald Trump strings, they could do it too. They haven't even disclosed where this thing has taken place, right?
No, I don't know. I don't trust them. Khabib is a straightforward guy. You can't pay him off. You can't get him to do dirty shit. And he's good. He's really good. So for me to think they would do anything in his favor, I think is unlikely. I think because in my point of view, their business sense is that they're better off with him losing or not being around. Mm-hmm. So they're just not gonna give him the respect he deserves. And they told him that there was no way that it was happening in the U.S.
That's so weird. Here's the thing. Obviously, that's the fight I want to see. Don't you Corona out on me, Fitch. You goddamn it, you better be here next week.
Don't worry, it's the cannabis.
You got
cannabis
Tony,
virus.
And I don't know where he's fighting. They still have not figured out where this is happening. Now, Vince McMahon has apparently taped the vast majority of WrestleMania.
Yep, he's taping and no audience for the show.
So they have 2 days of that. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not sports. I haven't watched a WrestleMania maybe in 20 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe in 20 years. What else am I watching? It's free. It's on. He's stretching it out over 2 days now. It's not even one night. He's capitalizing.
Yeah.
Now, he's doing that April 4th and 5th. This is supposed to take place April 18th. The country looks very different by April 18th. By April 18th, Trump's on TV apologizing for the economic crash, apologizing for the fact that it's no longer April 30th, apologizing for the fact probably by then that we have tens of thousands of deaths in this country, unfortunately. I don't want to think of it that way, but I don't know how it's any different when even he's admitting now if they do a job where less than 100,000 people die of this in this country, they did a good job. That's an alarming number. So, obviously, we were talking about it. It could have been is going to be one of the biggest live sporting events just by the fact there aren't any other live sporting events on.
What's going on?
In the world. Not just in the United States, but in the world. My brother seems to think there's no doubt, even with Gaethje now coming in against Ferguson, that they don't give it away for free. 10 million pay-per-view buys. It busts fucking records. I seem to think that if we're in the tens of thousands of deaths and America's pretty down, maybe Donnie Trump calls in that Conor McGregor, I got your rapist in favor, and says, look, guys, look, I got the rapist in. We're giving this one away for America. I mean, I wouldn't even doubt if Trump gave a fucking PSA during the goddamn thing. Even if Disney hates his guts. I mean, we might be in those type of times. Or maybe Cuomo. Maybe a bunch of different people. We could be seeing, you remember what 9/11 was like? You remember those rollouts of the Red Cross specials and everything else and the PSAs by celebrities? I think this is going to be 10 times, 20 times worse. Am I wrong?
Man, that's right. I try not to remember, I guess. There was a lot of annoyance back then. I think I remember when they started talking about Iraq, like I started getting really annoyed with all the 9/11 stuff.
I'm just saying, listen, in this country, we lost 3,000 plus people. I'm not trying to marginalize those deaths at all, but it was rampant on the news cycle and in mainstream culture and pop culture every day for at least a decade after. At least a decade. It wasn't until, Al Qaeda kind of morphed into ISIS. You know what I mean? Like, oh, don't be so scared of Al Qaeda. Morph into ISIS midway through the Obama presidency that even 9/11 was put into the background. And every once in a while they would use it as their fucking
that was just why, because ISIS was so awful. The beheadings they started that replaced the news cycle. They went from Twin Towers to fucking beheadings shit.
And don't forget, in the very beginning of the post 9/11 stuff, what did they go to? Beheadings, only Al Qaeda beheadings. Daniel Pearl was that first person to be beheaded on television. That was tracked back to a guy named Omar Saeed Sheikh, who was the wire man, the money man, who took the $100,000 wire from General Mahmoud Ahmed of the Pakistani ISI a week before 9/11 to Muhammad Atta. So this guy who beheaded Daniel Pearl, that first big beheading, he got convicted of that, and he got executed himself. Omar Saeed Sheikh was like a triple agent. And again, he was working with Pakistani intelligence to help fund the hijackers in 9/11. Nothing to see here. By the way, Daniel Pearl was investigating the funding of 9/11 and Israeli connections when they beheaded him. No big deal. No big deal. And then you look at the beheadings. I think I've actually shown you this before. You've seen that green screen footage that supposedly was leaked by the McCain aide, right? Yeah. I mean, who knows? We'll probably get a couple good beheadings during all this, too. Some coronavirus beheadings.
It's a mad world.
Bitch, how are you keeping it sane? What are you doing these days?
Well, I've been working on just videos, and my weight cutting book is ready to go. And we've been writing a little bit. I got to get into that a little bit more. I've been reading, gardening with the kids, good stuff.
So you still got the boys?
Yeah. Well, we have to ship them back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have them until Wednesday, and then I'll take them over to their mothers. And I get them back for the weekend.
Is there a decision made if they do like the official lockdown of like your papers, please, essential travel?
That's a very good question. I don't know what they're going to do with people who have split custody on children.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question, right? It's one that really hasn't been addressed. And one of the things that I hate is the girls are going to school online, and their teachers, in many cases, folks, are severely mentally retarded. And they're telling these kids that they're going to be back in school in a couple weeks. Like up until yesterday when Trump gave that speech, on Friday, I had one of the teachers saying, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to be back on May 1st. Everything's fine. Everything's all set." And now, obviously, there's no chance they're really going to be back on May 1st. I talked to one of the other teachers in the district today. He's like, "Look, man, I got 68 students." He goes, "I've gotten emails back from 5 of them." Like, how much enforcement is really even going on right now? Like, I'm glad that my girls are doing the work, but
yeah, I printed out the work and the syllabus and whatever my oldest son, his teacher had sent. So we'll go through that stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how hard this stuff really even is, because like we're sitting there and I'm printing stuff out, and the first stack of sheets with like a sheet for every day of the week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there and he's just doing them all real quick. Like, I'm like, wait, you're supposed to do one a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop. Like, don't just, it's like, what are we paying for? What is this?
Well, that's the thing.
education?
How many parents phone it the fuck in anyway on their kids and aren't even going to care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even put them in
And
front.
aren't going to print the stuff out. Yeah.
It's
And I
kind of
got the wrong
mind-boggling.
link or something for the youngest one. So I had to I'm tracking down the right link so I can print his stuff or log in. They have like, I don't know, Google Classroom, I think,
Yep.
something like that.
Well, we like the Google Classroom. What we don't like is that the teachers are continually doing their videos on Facebook, and it's like, hey, the kids don't have a Facebook account for a reason. We give them Facebook Messenger for kids, but that's access. You know what I mean? But now they have to log into a Facebook. What if, one of our friends, like they log in through my sisters, but what if all of a sudden someone messages them something that's inappropriate or something comes up in their feed and they click off? There's no way to really mitigate that. Folks, it's 2020. How do you not know how to use Google Docs or to use Dropbox free or put out that kind of videos? You're a teacher. You're supposed to be an educator. It's 2020.
I think it's I think you might be young enough to get that shit because I'm just learning some of it. I barely know.
Yeah, we're the same age, bitch. You got like 6
I
months
have
on
like
me.
15, 20 years on you.
Yeah, 15, 20 years on me. That's some
15, 20,
gristle
I think.
right there, yeah.
Gristle, all right.
We are getting up in the morning. We're doing the P90X. I'm getting my Tony
Oh,
Horton on.
nice.
I'm doing that,
Yeah, I got my lift this morning in.
Yep. And the kids are enjoying it.
I'm gonna start making the boys. We're gonna do wrestling and jiu-jitsu. We're gonna do an hour of it at least every day that I have them. So.
Well, the
we
girls
have,
were loving the
like,
Kempo,
so
man.
that was a big thing that I've been doing right now is making schedules.
Mhm.
Like I'm trying to set a new schedule because like otherwise it just all blurs together and it's just one day. There's no weekday, there's no week, there's nothing. It's just quarantine day, whatever.
Doesn't it feel like that too? Like for me,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to be like, I'm gonna go get a beer and some wings and maybe talk to a pretty girl. And like it doesn't happen. It's disappointing. It's mentally trying, and this hasn't even really begun yet. I've talked about that, but that sucks. Like that's part of my routine.
It's a good chance to get on the dating apps and practice your text game.
Yeah, I've had to expand my my distance from like 15 to 20 miles to like 40 miles. But even then, man, I mean, I'm 40. I can't. I don't match with a ton of like under 30-year-olds, to be quite honest. Every once in a while, there's a 20-something in there. But still,
You need good pics. You need a good bio, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do it, bro.
I don't really try that much.
My threshold is 30.
Is it? I'll go to 40. I'll do it. I'm 40. Who am I to say? You know what I mean? It's not like we're getting married. And you know what? I do find some like 32 to like 38-year-old women that don't have any kids and aren't divorced and still, have their body together and have a career and are interesting. I don't know, man. I am talking to this one chick and she's pretty cool, but again, when am I ever going to see these people? Like,
yeah, I mean, Zoom. You could use that Zoom.
That's
have a conference
great.
call, conference date.
I haven't done like the last
Yeah,
time
just
like I had like some like sexy Skype session was like a decade plus ago. Like I don't know, man. And even then, you know what I did? I eventually flew the girl out and we, actually had an interaction. Like that's just the most frustrating thing ever.
Maybe you can get a coronavirus testing kit online and then test each other.
I don't even want to test. Do you want to test?
Or get the full body condom.
Go full naked gun with it?
Like one big rubber suit.
What do you think about that? Like after all this, are people just going to be afraid of people in general? Are people going to socially distance all over? I mean, is this going to be the next level where we're literally scared of being around one another?
It's all diabolically perfect, right? It's almost like it was planned.
I just feel like
get people used to doing this. They're gonna be like, hey, easy, cheap way to feed people is bugs. We're gonna ship out bug salad to everybody. We'll drop by your house, have some bug salad. Here you go. People are going to volunteer. Oh, hey, you're losing your house. We have these new pods. You can go and live in a pod, and we'll deliver a bug salad to you every day.
Well, people are talking about a baby boom during this. I'm thinking more baby boom after this. Like if you can't pick up a fucking chick after this, guys, like first week out, I don't know what you're doing. Like, who are you talking to? I mean, maybe you have zero game, but I can't imagine it's going to be that tough to get a girl over to your house after hours after, I don't know, 2 to 6 months of nothing. Especially the ones that were locked in with their parents, that were non-essential workers. There's only so much Instagram loves that they can get, or Snapchat love that they can get. Eventually,
gonna need some real attention. Yeah.
Right? Right?
Get bored.
Man. I mean, maybe that's the next John Fitch series: How to Pick Up Chicks in the Quarantine.
I'll write a online course.
Now's the time to do it, I guess.
It'll be quarantine game. Let's see.
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. I mean, and the other thing is, like, I've thought about this
bio
too.
pictures. I'll have a mask on.
Is that the new profile picture? Like
sitting on a mountain throne of toilet paper.
I'll be honest, my current Tinder picture is me in front of my quarantine goodies, like a stack of water, toilet paper, and I've got a bottle of Basil Hayden in there. The only thing I don't have is my mountainous bag of weed with me. But I thought about throwing that in there too, because really, I feel like that's better than my face at this point. Like, even if I got a decent smile and a good face, I feel like the chicks are way going to be into water and toilet paper over that.
I'm going to get my underwear and take a picture by the garden.
Perfect. Especially if you got some growth, huh? Like the tomato plants.
Yeah. Ooh. Pull them up like this.
I love it. I guess we can keep a decent sense of humor in all this. So now the big question is,
what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do?
I agree. So a docu-series on Netflix about a gay meth-smoking tiger.
Yeah, the tiger. Tiger King.
The Tiger King is taking the world by storm. Have you watched any of this yet?
Oh, yep. I've already watched it. I've talked about it a lot. It's a pretty great film.
All right, so
I think me and Chris Tinkle are going to do a watch along with it. I think we'll do a couple episodes at a time. But there's a lot going on.
Yeah, well, so don't ruin it all for me, because I'm only 3 deep. Okay, I've just got to the end of where is it? We've learned that.
So they already mentioned that he smoked meth.
No. That I think that's coming up in the 4th, but I can't get away from the memes. And obviously, it's implied since his husband has 2 teeth.
Well, yeah, it's his teeth. Yeah, he's got meth mouth. But yeah, I mean, they barely touch on that, and it seems like that should be like one of the major themes of the story. Like all the meth being smoked all the fucking time, probably.
You mean with predator animals being everywhere?
The whole context of the whole story makes so much more sense. Like, I was like, I cannot believe these people are like this. This is so wild. This is the most wild thing ever. And they're like, oh yeah, he smokes a lot of meth. And you're like, oh, like these people are fucking out of their minds.
Well, look at Doc Antle
all the time.
Like, Doc Antle not only has like this reserve of like lions and tigers and big cats, but he's riding around on an elephant. He's got 4 separate partners that he has as trained as the animals. And I mean, the guy literally is dressed up and made up like a modern day guru. And he associates himself with some other guru in the very beginning. That's wild. And he's like, a side character in this story. It's pretty interesting. I'll be honest.
He's a character for sure. He's something else out there. He's saying that he was unaware of what the documentary was about. He thought it was a film about tiger rescue or something like that.
Well,
Or
I'm sure that's how they portrayed it,
animals.
and I get the feeling just from watching it that they started it doing one thing and it became something completely different. And just doing documentary films, what they're about 45 minutes a piece, and there's 7 of them. Just the editing alone on that probably took a year and a half. From what I saw, it still hasn't gotten to the part where, what's his name, Joe Exotic ends up in jail or whatever that's about or whatever. But at the end of the first episode, when he's phoning from jail in like 2018, 2019, I'm like, well, they've been filming this for years. So like, what exactly is going on here? It seems like these guys just kind of caught a little piece of lightning, because they start the series saying that they were in a parking lot doing a video on the snake thing. Remember the snake venom? And that one guy had that tiger in his van. And that's how the ball started to get rolling. What I don't understand is, like, how does like a Shaquille O'Neal have a bunch of wildcats? Like, okay, I get it. Like, Mike Tyson had one. This guy that smokes meth and has a bunch of, ruffians around him. He's got a bunch.
Like when he had those one kitten, he's kind of one tiger kitten, and he was saying that it was, $3,000 to $5,000 for one of those.
But even then, like, all right, you buy one. I know people that have spent $1,500 on a fucking dog. You know what I mean? It's the pit bull. It's bred. It's jacked up. I can get so much a puppy. They do that. But it's still a dog. Like, with a lion or a tiger, at some point, I mean, you're already probably, like, if you're buying one of those things, a very busy, rich person. You're traveling. You're probably got 3 wives. How many kids do you have? How many businesses are you involved in? You're traveling. How could you possibly give enough attention to a predatory animal that, if for some reason it doesn't like you on any given moment, can tear your body apart?
It plays rough. It plays a little rough. Has an accident.
Like, even the opening credits,
a little bit too hard. Whoops. I've gotten bit on the hand a little bit too hard by my dog before. He was just playing around, got carried away.
I mean, how about when that woman gets her hand ripped off, and the first thing out of his mouth, that they show is, "I'll never financially recover from this." and then the woman came back to work literally 3 days later instead of getting the 2 years worth of constructive surgery of her hand. I don't know about you, John, but if they tell me I got a chance to save my hand, or you can take it off and I can go back to the lions or tigers
who want to eat me and already ate part of me. Like, they didn't have the other part of it. Did they have the other part of the hand, or was it already eaten?
Apparently, it was still hanging there, and they said over 2 years they could do some reconstructive surgery. If you watch it again, like, that part of her hand is blurred out. You know what I mean? They don't show the graphic, whatever. No, thank you. No, thank you. But if it's not gone, I want to save it. But then again, I'm also not, crazy enough to work with tigers. I don't know, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, Fitch, who are the guests coming up this week?
I haven't got my guests lined up yet. I'm starting to figure out. I'm going to start having a specific day and time where I do my show. A little more structured. I need more scheduling.
More structure, eh?
Yep. More structure, more scheduling. It's too much of every day is just kind of a blur. I need order.
I mean, I'm trying to do it. Like I said, the kids are here. We're trying to get up in the morning. The thing is that also in the morning, I'm watching all these friggin' press conferences one after another. They're starting earlier and earlier in the day. Like, Cuomo's on the news at 10 a.m. now. And that can be for 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden de Blasio's on. And then all of a sudden the New Jersey governor's on. And I think that Trump's got it down to a beat of about 5 p.m. now every day, 5 to 6. And then he comes on. And you kind of have to watch Trump because the press does hate him. I mean, whether you like the guy or not, the press does hate the guy. And they are trying to paint him into a corner.
It doesn't matter what he does. He's wrong, and they're outraged.
I mean, the one person, when he was trying to say, can you guarantee that everybody will get a bed? And he goes, don't be a cutie pie. I see what you're doing. And he's calling the guy, a grown man who's like 55 years old, a cutie pie.
Don't be his.
And
Don't
rip
be
it
a
into
cutie
him.
pie.
And you
I
can
know
see
what
the
you're
frustration. I don't know, man. I feel like, well, I don't know how he loses to Joe Biden. Joe Biden can't even keep a sentence together on a video call with
He looks
Jake Tapper.
terrible.
Senile as hell. Did you see Tapper
Lost it.
lecture him for coughing into his hand? So, like, Tapper asks Biden whether or not he's been tested for coronavirus. And Biden's like, no, I haven't been tested for coronavirus. I haven't shown any symptoms. We're going to keep the test for the... And then he like rants for a second. And then he just starts coughing throughout the entire interview. And he keeps coughing into his hand. And Tapper goes, sir, you're supposed to be coughing into your elbow, being like a very good little bootlicker, and now we have people tattletaling on their neighbors and that whole thing. But like Biden's like, oh, I don't have to cough into my arm. I'm at home. Everything's okay. And he just totally ridiculous.
He's gotten ridiculous. He's a ridiculous person right now.
Well, there's no more debates either. Don't you think like that's the one thing maybe they should put together, but they won't because they dislike Bernie so much? Can you imagine like an online debate between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, which they could easily set up?
Easily
set up with moderators.
Sit down comfortably. It could be a headshot.
Mm-hmm. But they don't want to do it because number one, now there's more of a captive audience, right? What the hell else are other people doing? Live TV programming.
Everybody's gonna watch it.
Sign me up, right? Too many people would watch it, and I don't know. Biden might have an episode during the actual, like he might forget that he's online. He might think he's talking to his grandkids looking into a webcam. It's a real possibility. And that's the guy they're trying to run for president during the madness.
That's the puppet. The puppet masters are running.
Again, hard for me to believe in these very, very odd times. But then again, they're not even mentioning the fact that one of his aides is saying that he grabbed her and started finger banging her out of nowhere. Like, mainstream media is ignoring that one.
It's not even being picked up because of the coronavirus. So, he's like, dodged a bullet on that one.
Oh, JohnFitch.net.
Like Donald said, grab him by the pussy. I really did.
He's like, yeah, I one-upped him, guys. Like, that should be the meme.
I actually did it. I grabbed her by the pussy. I wasn't just talking shit.
He talks a good game, but I'll take him out back behind the locker room and show him how to grab a pussy. That's how I
show my hairy legs. He's had some gaffes. He's had some weird shit lately.
Dude, unbelievably.
In the last 3 months at least.
I mean, he's looked horrible for the last year plus. I don't even know how they put him on the stage for the first debate, let alone made him into the front runner somehow.
He looks less physically capable than Hillary Clinton did.
I agree. He's probably going to announce her as the VP. I mean, that's the kind of hell on earth that we actually live in. Let's be honest.
What do you think about the rumors that they're going to put Cuomo instead to run against Trump?
So let's talk about Cuomo for a second, right?
Cuomo says what?
He's probably the best person at patting everybody on the head and stroking them and telling them everything's going to be all right because he's a likable gangster type. Think about this. How much was I hating him for the bail reform going on in New York State where they were just letting prisoners out, right? Or letting them go. We did discussions about that here. We've now let over 2,000 prisoners in the last week in New York, and there's not a peep.
I heard that some of them were even murderers.
I don't know about that yet, but I do know. Well, the thing was, they commuted sentences.
Non-violent?
Well, they commuted sentences for people that were going to get out within the next couple years. So if you had been convicted of manslaughter and maybe killed somebody and done 15 years and you were going to get out, there's a good chance they might have let you out. They're not disclosing all those people for sure. So I've been watching the press conferences. And look, like I said, I'm glad that he said that he wasn't going to have enforceable martial law. I'm glad he said he would sue Rhode Island if they continued to do that. He's very smart when he talks. he's sitting up there talking about meatballs and sausage and his family and Italians on Sundays. And I'm like, I like meatballs and sausage. I do. I would say this. First of all, does he want the job? Probably not. Even if he did want the job, okay? Even if he did want the job, they're talking 4, 5, 6 months. The election is in 7 months. 7 months and like 3 days from today, maybe 4 days from today. We don't know what the country looks like then. We don't know if we're even going to be able to go and vote. And there's just no way.
Have elections.
That we can you can convince me.
King Emperor Trump.
I don't think he would do that. Well, I don't think they would let him.
For 12 years.
Like that meme where it just keeps going to Trump 2024, 2028, 2032. I don't buy that notion either. I don't know what to think. I find it hard to believe that we have elections on November 3rd or 4th, right? Is it the 3rd or the 4th? I forget, but first week in November. I don't see how it happens. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the things change. But Cuomo, I don't know that he wants to be president, man. I just don't. I don't see that in him. Plus, no offense, but we've never fucking had an Italian president. Ever. Like, everybody makes a big deal like if we would have had Bloomberg, who had no shot as the first Jewish president. Show me the first Goomba president. Doesn't really exist, and it doesn't get more mafia-like than Andrew Cuomo. Not to mention his brother is like the worst person in the world. Chris is the worst. He's like awful. He's literally, I mean, I didn't even like the Fredo jokes, but I certainly don't like Chris Cuomo. Fredo, yeah, exactly. You saw what Cuomo said to Cuomo last week, right? So Chris asked his brother Andrew what was the worst decision that he had made so far during all this. And Andrew fired back by saying, probably doing your show, Chris. He's got jokes. Folks, I think that's going to be about it. We almost did an hour with no MMA to talk about whatsoever, and maybe a fictitious MMA match coming up between Gaethje and Ferguson.
Oh, did we? We even didn't even get a chance to talk about Jon Jones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now we can. You know what? I totally forgot about that. In the midst of the madness.
That happened since the last time that we talked, I think.
That's right. What do you get? He got a DWI and a gun charge?
DWI. He's getting drunk off a mezcal in his car, shooting a fucking gun in the sky. What the fuck?
What do you think it is with guys like that? Do you think that they just get so much that it's just like they can't?
Well, I mean, where is his? He doesn't have a crew. He doesn't have a driver. He doesn't have somebody. Like regardless of paying somebody.
I don't think he does, dude.
Whatever. I don't know. He's got a house. He got people at his house. He doesn't want to drink around, or
all right.
Like
so
the bar.
He
can't get a driver.
He's an upstate New York guy that relocated to New Mexico with Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. So he's actually from I don't know, like 60 miles away. So one of my bartenders, when he got busted the first time, right? That very first time for the roids or whatever, and everything. And actually, it was the first car accident where he rear-ended the pregnant woman. I saw a full thing from his baby mama and this hard thing because my bartender basically shared it with me. Her and her were best friends. And he had kids with a second girl already at that time and was cheating notoriously and everything else. And John, his two brothers are football players. They're bigger than he is. And from what I hear, they just kind of all do their own thing. They don't really have crews. They kind of run around. They like to do blow. They like to drink. And they like to bang chicks. And that's about it. But at the same time, when it's quarantine time, you just arguably lost your last two fights. You got gifted decisions. The UFC is already making you their biggest star. And you can't get drunk at home or somewhere else, and you're firing weapons. It seems weird. Like,
it's very weird.
It's very weird. I'm thinking domestic disturbance beforehand. Like, gets kicked out of the house. Got caught cheating. Probably banging the maid. That's purely speculation. That's Burma's conspiracy theory, folks. Mm-hmm. That is based on nothing. But I could see that happening. I mean, like Jones. You saw the Alex Jones DWI last week? Or no?
Oh, Alex Jones got a WI also.
So 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, he went on air and basically said, I got to get out ahead of this. And he said that he had drank some rice wine, got pulled over for no reason, and then blew less than a .08, okay? And actually, I believe the paperwork did have him come in at a .078, like he did blow under .8. I'm not sure if they rounded it up or whatever. But the real story was that his current wife, which is his second wife, called the cops on him in some kind of a domestic issue. So then they found him, pulled him over, and then did the DWI test or whatever, and then arrested him or whatever. There's always a little piece that they never share with you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about you, but I've got 0 domestic disputes under my belt and 0 DWAIs or DWIs. It's weird. It's just weird. They tend to go hand in hand, domestic disputes and DWIs and alcohol abuse, just saying, and drug abuse. Maybe I'm kooky. I don't know. Not the way to pick up chicks during a quarantine, John. That's how I feel.
No, well, they like danger.
That's also true.
They like danger. Shooting a gun. They like gangsters.
That's that's the other thing. Talk about that on the Tiger Show. Like, again, I'm not that far into it, but the guy that Tony Montana's based on, the guy was...
Yeah. What a little what a tiny little that's a spinoff right there. Are you kidding me?
And he seems like the most sane guy out of everything.
He's like the most normal one. That's why he's so private.
Yeah, he is.
Like,
he's got like a regular wife.
People.
He doesn't seem too obsessed with the animals. Everything looks safe. He doesn't have a zoo where everybody's coming over and like he's got to be the star of everything. By far seems like the most normal guy. Helped cut up a undercover DEA agent in a huge coke deal. If you haven't seen it, folks, I'm highly recommending it.
He was. Didn't they say something like he was there, but he didn't?
He didn't kill the guy. Remember, it was the 2 other guys that he was working with that killed the guy.
He just cut him up.
Well, I think they did it on his property, and then they were like, "What do we do with this guy?" And he's like, "Well, I guess we have to cut him up." And then I think they cut him up and they put him in acid or something like that, right? Didn't they? It was something crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because they did that. That's what they did in the Scarface thing. Is after they cut the guy up with the chainsaw, they put him in an acid bath and disintegrated him. Just good stuff all around, really. And
educational.
Speaking of good stuff all around, you can find a lot of good stuff over at thegruelingtruth.com, including the audio version of this podcast every single week. Remember to go to johnfitch.net and subscribe right now. I'm going to put this in the chat with our 163 current viewers. Make sure, guys, that you are subscribing to Jon Fitch so you can watch Jon Fitch Knows Nothing. We're both on Rockfin. Put out an exclusive on Rockfin today, by the way, guys. This one is a almost hour-long interview I did with a couple of guys today and tomorrow. Live stream, noon, Rockfin exclusive right here. Thank you to my 3,000 plus followers. Remember, Jon Fitch, also on Rockfin. Make sure to go check him out there. And I know you're going to be doing exclusives over there soon, John.
Yeah, I've got to figure out what I'm doing, but I think I might just go live. I might go live for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I like the platform. I think it's great. And lo and behold, if anything does happen with YouTube or some of the other platforms out there, at least I've got this one to go to. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank Jon Fitch as always. We'll see you in the next week of the quarantine, everybody.
Laters.